to be here.
Yeah, of course, Kieran is the latest addition to the SimRacing Expo team, so please, folks, he's going to be there at the Expo alongside me, as we will be hosting on the Friday the Asetek Simsports Community Trophy finale, and then, of course, on the Sunday, to close out the 10th anniversary, the digital GT500 on Sunday afternoon takes centre stage. Now, for those new to the format for the 2024 digital GT500, we have gone from endurance to adaptability, and we've so far had 4 different winners from 4 different races. Could we have the same tonight? The trend seems to be, Kieran, because yesterday the drivers found out the car and the track being chosen. We're going to be using the Ray Formula Ford 1600 and at a very much a little hidden gem in the south of France, Circuit de l'Edenon, which is normally part of French Formula 4 and also the FFSA GT Championship. It's based around about 25 kilometers northeast of Nimes, which is the French Rome. It's 3.1 kilometers, runs anti-clockwise, and is really going to give our drivers something to sink their teeth into as a good old challenge.
Absolutely. I mean, it's very sweeping corners there as well, so plenty to challenge there. And open wheelers. I mean, we've had closed cockpit for the previous couple of races. Now we get to see them in open wheelers, and there is little margin for error. As soon as you take away the bodywork from around the wheels, you've got to be extra careful about giving each other space around each of these corners, and especially around Triple Gauche, being our first corners. You call it turn 1, but the first 3 corners there should be pretty good to see how they all tackle it all at once.
Yeah, pretty much like a reverse couple of corners at Portimao, for instance, the other way around. But, folks, let's remind you of what happened when 30-plus drivers headed to Motorsport Arena Oschersleben in the Toyota GR86 Cup car just a few weeks ago. Round 2 of the digital GT500 would head to Motorsport Arena Oschersleben, and the drivers would be put behind the wheel of the Toyota GR86 Cup car here on iRacing. Qualifying, as always, a solo affair, 2 laps to put in your best lap time, and an early good effort from David Bosca meant he would take pole position heading into race number 1. But a nearly 4-wide exchange on the rundown to turn number 1 on race 1 would see an early casualty. Ross McFarlane turned around, possibly by Lombardi, heading into turn 1. Thomas Cope from Olympus Esports, the race 2 winner from round 1, spun around at the final corner on the opening lap, and Daniel Angelmo also finding trouble thanks to someone collecting his right rear. The racing would be fast and frantic, with multiple drivers contesting for the bottom part of the top 10. Felix Viertel would also make his way past Leon Harhoff, who's doing double duty in both the digital GT500 and the Community Trophy. Hendrik Augustin would later collect Octavio Rondeletto, and then find himself be turned around at the same corner through an absolute melee of a moment. But ButtKicker would take the opening win of the night ahead of Bosca. Andrea Dalle Valle would be on the top 20 reverse grid pole position, and already before we'd even gotten started, it was going to be dramas for one driver, that being of Andre Bristow in the number 35. A 3-way squeeze and then a T-bone for the Italian meant he would be out. Pablo Espes would be one of several drivers running wide in the opening exchanges, with Marcelo Caserta being turned around and thrown heavily into the wall, ending his race abruptly. Further dramas would exist for the likes of Lorenzo Manfredotti and Steen Ledger, who were also taken out on the opening lap due to an incident that was none of their making. However, Dalle Valle would end up losing out the lead on lap number 2, as Rondeletto, Harhoff, et al. Would get through. Thomas Cope would end up having a second successive incident on a second successive race, with the back end of his GR86 ending up in the barriers. But Ross McFarlane, who was making good his intention, closed up and looked to pass and pounce on Rondeletto in the dying stages of race 2. However, even though the Scotsman tried his best efforts, he would make a sideways mistake, and that would be all she wrote, as Rondeletto would pick up the victory, making it 4 different winners from 4 different races so far in the digital GT500. Rondeletto finishing ahead of McFarlane, Grove, Harhoff, Passioni, Koch, Votta, Dalle Valle, Bosca and Manfredotti rounding out the top 10. Now we focus on round 3. Well, 4 different winners from 4 different races. Sven Haase, Thomas Cope, and now you add to that 2 other drivers. Incredible scenes that we had at Motorsport Arena Oschersleben, Kieran, last week. But here at Circuit de l'Édonnant, you know, it's just a shade under 2 miles. A lot of French countryside. Reminds me a little bit, you know, the straightaway that we see here. Reminds me a little bit of the character of the Circuit de la Sarthe at Le Mans. But it is, as you rightly said, you know, the Ray Formula Ford 1600, normally a 1.6 litre engine, 4-speed gearbox, 13-inch wheels and tyres, no slicks, no wings. It's all about sheer bravado and bravery at the same time.
Yeah, and obviously when it comes down to taking the air off these cars and, as you say, putting them on groove tyres, you reduce the amount of grip. So in theory, you should get slower corner speeds, so therefore maybe a little bit more overtaking perhaps. What's more important though is you've got to make sure you're in the toe of the car ahead. You lose that toe, you lose so much speed around a circuit like this one. So hopefully not much dirty air, dirty sim air to be contending with no no wings and slicks, but should be all the same very exciting.
Well, they are now heading officially into the 10-minute qualifying session. Just to give you a reminder of the format, it's going to be a 10-minute solo qualifying for all drivers. Then we're going to go racing for the first of 2 back-to-back races. Qualifying will decide the grid for race 1. The results for race 1 will mean the top 20 will be inverted, so whoever finishes 20th will start on pole position for race 2. The 4 race winners so far: Sven Haase, who makes his return after being missing in action for round 2 last time out. Then we had Thomas Cope, Luis Bellica, and also Octavio Rondeletto are our 4 winners so far. At the moment, Jarno Koch is currently leading the standings on a total of 284 points, 11 ahead of ex-Williams eSports driver, and with the virtual coach team, Dino Lombardi. Luis Bellica has moved up to 3rd in the standings, a further 30 points behind the Italian, ahead of Lorenzo Manfredotti on 234, David Bosca on 217, 1 point ahead of Simone Passione. Pablo Espes is very much in the hunt as well on 213 points. Simone Maria Marceno, who had a no score at race 2 at VIR, is next up. Sven Haase, well, still has 169 points to his credit, so keeps himself within the top 10. But 26 drivers, and it's overcast and foggy. And there is our points leader at the moment, the number 7 of Jarno Koch, coming across the line, down the dip, in towards triple gauche. Effectively, that's French for triple left. And then Carreras is the next one up. So it's, you know, you've got these very, very fast sweeping corners. It's lefts, rights. You've really got to carry the speed through here, Kieran, and there's a lot of elevation changes here at L'Édonnant.
Absolutely. You know, it's going to be imperative that you keep the momentum up. That's so important about these open wheelers. You've got to make sure you not only have the speed through there, but making sure you don't scrub off too much speed, because it's quite difficult to build the speed back up. So you have to make sure you take some clean lines through there. You have to make sure you've got as much as possible taking some clean lines through there, because the last thing you want to do is lose touch with the people in front of you, lose that precious toe that's so important down the start finish straight. So
in the initial foray, of course, the opening lap times are coming in. The drivers, we're seeing the sector times from Jarno Koch, 28.1 in sector 1, 25.2 sector 2. And also good to see our friends from Grid and Go Esports. They've got some vested interest in this series. Of course, they've been with us before last year at our first ever trip to the Dortmund Messe, as Adam Isaacson from Sweden in the number 78 leads the way on a 126.0. Johan Ruye rounds out second on a 126.1. Ade Coba Lopez finds himself in 4th, as Jarno Koch puts in a 125.971. 13 drivers including Lithuania's Haroldas Jotaltas, have put in a lap time so far. Some of the drivers in this series are actually doing double duty. Leon Harhoff, then we've also got Felix Votter, well, not Felix Votter, I think one of the other names was, Leon Harhoff. I think also Thomas Cope has been doing double duty. Igor Wojciechowski does not look like he's been able to attend this round, but 25 cars out on track here on a just north of 3.1 kilometre circuit. The racing is going to be interesting and exciting, to say the very least.
I mean, if we've seen the racing from previous rounds as well and how close the gaps have been at the start-finish line, we're in for a treat tonight. As you take away the, I guess, the outer shell that covers these wheels, and you really expose a weak spot with side-by-side racing. As we see Johan Puya make his way now around the final corner, then make his way across towards the start-finish line. And as you mentioned earlier as well, plenty of undulation as Pablo Espes now goes top of the standings there. 1 minute 25.7 from Espes, as Ade Lopez also now goes onto the front row with the 25.8.
So they've completed their 2 laps. David Bosger yet to set a lap time. Sven Haase, the German, very experienced driver, has been around quite a bit in the German sim racing community. Has just crossed the line to complete his opening lap, but might have had the time disallowed by the iRacing server by exceeding track limits. Dino Lombardi, the number 18 from Italy, is also on his first main lap, but at the moment Pablo Espes holding on to that pole position. Best lap time of the session, 1:25.755. Jano Koch half a tenth behind, 1:25.810. Ade Lopez, 1:25.858. Adam Isaacson, the Swede, 1:25.925. There's Leon Harhoff, currently running P13 at the moment. Best effort from him so far, 1:26.988 for the number 95. As he goes down the hill, Dino Lombardi puts in a lap time good for 5th, and still has less than 3/10 to find to possibly put himself on the front row, and more importantly, pole position here, Kieran.
Fantastic to see. Top 8 covered by just over half a second. Make that now the top 9 as Bosger now goes up into 6th fastest, 3/10 off now, as we see Harhoff make his way back into the pit lane then. Of course, making sure that he tried to get as much out of the car as possible. There is Dino Lombardi then making his way now out of the hairpin, and now building up the speed. He's got about 3/10 to find if he wants to try and grab this pole position away from Pablo Espes.
Well, for those people saying grid and go, soapbox with an engine, well, you look at the talents that have raced in Formula Ford over the best part of nearly over half a century. Mark Webber, David Coulthard, James Courtney, Joseph Newgarden. Need I say any more? And this is a really good entry point if you're, as a sim racer, you want to get into, like, say, the DW12 IndyCar with the aero screen on it, or you can even use the W13 Mercedes AMG F1 car, the Super Formula and Super Formula Lights. There's so much single-seaters that you can choose from, as we are waiting for Dino Lombardi. Is he going to improve on his second lap? It's P6 at the moment. He does improve on lap time, but does not improve on position. That's the outside of row number 3. We are getting closer and closer, just waiting for a few drivers. It looks like we might already have qualifying nearly at an end. Miroslav Svoboda, the driver from the Czech Republic, is currently on another lap, and the number 24 has put in the best effort of a 1:26.421. Good enough for 11th on the grid. I'm a bit concerned of anyone from 11th down to 19th, and I think you know where I'm going with this one. It's the mid-pack debacle, that if you're in the mid-pack, something normally can go awry on lap 1 or lap 2 if you're stuck halfway between the top 8 and the bottom 8 of the grid.
We saw in the last round, the rolling start, not even 200 meters off the line, we saw someone have a turnaround. So Yeah, you don't even need to make your way for a braking point at the first corner for there to be a potential for an incident. We've seen it before. And hopefully, though, we do see racing up towards Triple Gauche, because it is going to be a pretty good spectacle. You really do want to be having the corner to yourself. You really have to make sure you get the launch absolutely spot on to take the line you want into Triple Gauche. You don't have that luxury if you're in the midfield there. You've got to have that spatial awareness. You've got to you rely on your spotter, whatever plugin you have installed on iRacing. You've got to make sure you make good use of it.
And good to see our learned friend, Mr. Danny Juicer, is keeping an eye on you folks in chat. Yes, Formula Ford is a British national treasure. We normally have the Brands Hatch Formula Ford Festival and the Walter Hayes Trophy at Silverstone, normally run every single year without fail. And it's a great class to watch in action if you get the opportunity to see it firsthand. And you and I both know, Kieran, that it is a really, really good car to learn your craft in.
Yeah, absolutely, and the racing at Brands Hatch as well is phenomenal. I mean, especially around the Indy circuit, it's one of those flowing circuits. It really gets the best out of the drivers there. Plenty of mid-speed corners. It's similar to here we have at Lebanon. Plenty of mid-speed corners. It's challenging in that sense to keep the momentum up, and I've mentioned it before how it's so important. If you lose that back end, it's going to take you 4, maybe 5 corners to actually get the car back up to speed and get back up to that racing speed. You leave yourself very, very vulnerable for those next 3 or 4 corners.
Well, we have now hit the 10-minute mark in qualifying. That is it. Server is closed. And we have a pole sitter. So congratulations to Pablo Espes, who is going to take pole position for the first of 2 races tonight. And everyone is starting to grid up on the server. We're going to have 26 drivers. Here's your starting grid for race 1, round 3 of the digital GT500 for 2024. Pablo Espes and points leader Jano Koch on the front row, Ade Lopez and Sven Haase on row 2, Adam Isaacson and Dino Lombardi row 3, David Bosga and Johan Royer row 4, Luis Bellica and Octavio Rondeletto. Our 3rd and 4th race winners so far round out the top 10. Miroslav Svoboda and Alexander Davidson on row number 6. Eric Grove, Sergio Gordillo, Ferrero, Simone Passione, Leon Harhoff, Felix Vetter, Hendrik Augustin, Thomas Cope, Tobias Krucken, Haroldas Jataltas, Ansgar Altrichter, Marcello Caserta, Lorenzo Manfredotti, René Loic and Daniel Ingelmo are the drivers that round out the grid. I hope this is good. This is going to be good old standing start. I'm trying to not release my inner Murray Walker at the moment, Kieran McGinley.
It's a very common thing for us commentators to unleash the inner Murray Walker, but which Murrayism are you going to go down?
I don't know. I haven't really decided yet. I nearly did one in the karting commentary at Mulsanne this weekend. I nearly went. It's happened immediately. This is fantastic. Shadows of Echoes and of Prost and Senna back in 1990, but looks like we are getting things underway and overcast, 19 degrees Celsius. The field makes its way into the downhill slant through Triple Gauche for the opening time. And, well, Pablo Espes has definitely got a run ahead of Jano Koch. But you're going to see 3-4 wide action. Ansgar Altrichter has dropped behind Lorenzo Manfredotti, but Pablo Espes is leading the way. Ade Lopez is closing in on Jano Koch. You can see a sea of Formula Fords making their way through the infield section. So this is going to be through Carrieras and Gormel at the top part of the circuit before they go down into the left-hander here at the right-hander here at Camion, which is basically French for lorry. Cavalet is next up the hill, and then it's going to be up to Servi, which is the main top left part of the circuit. And just look at how controlled these drivers are at the moment. A prize fund of €5,000 up for grabs. Winner of the GT500 for 2024 gets... Oh, no! Johan Hoyer's just got around, and he's dropped down the order. We've got cars all over the shop already, and we haven't even completed one lap here, Kieran. There was going to be drama, and Johan Hoyer was the first casualty.
Yeah, absolutely, and a whole bunch of drivers going with him as well. But the first lap is completed. Pablo Espes leads from Jano Koch then. as we watch on. ButtKicker trying to see if he can find a way past Rondeletto. No way through going into the part 1 of Triple Gauche, as they fight over 8th place here. And as you said, 2 race winners so far in this series, down in 8th and 9th. Just shows you how competitive these drivers are, how competitive this entire field is. Top 7 have started to break away as ButtKicker tries to find a way, find an inside move down at Pont, but no way through so far.
Well, as I said, yeah, 4 race winners at the moment. Our opening race winner, Sven Haase, currently 4th. Thomas Cope all the way down in 21st. Octavio Rondeletto 8th. Lewis Bellica rounds out the top 10. But here is the battle for the race lead. And it is more than 6 cars. It's more like 8. Well, it's going to be the top 7 rounded out by Dino Lombardi, the Italian. But you can just see how much emphasis Jarno Koch is trying to put the moves past Pablo Espes. They're wheel to wheel down the hill once again. Espes holding on sternly. I hate to think how many pings they're getting for track limits at the moment, because these overcast conditions aren't really helping anybody when they're trying to line a move up, especially as they're coming over the hill again, and then it's across the line. Lap 3 underway. Jarno Koch sweeps to the outside and puts in the fastest lap. He's going to throw it around the outside of the second part of Triple Gauche on Pablo Espes. It's going to be nip and tuck, and Espes still holds on to the race lead, but Lopez is around.
Lopez around, dropped the rears, it just looked like, but there is Jarno Koch then making the move then down in towards Pont, has got the move done into the race lead, but Pablo Espes is not done with this just yet as we head our way now on towards Carriaza and our way through there. But yeah, heartbreak there for Ade Lopez running in 3rd place. Just looked like the back end simply stepped out at him in the 3rd part of Triple Gauche.
Yeah, probably just over rotated, maybe hit the loud pedal a bit too quickly. Trying to get the power out of the corner. You've got to have such a delicate touch with these Ray Formula Ford 1600s. But Pablo Espes, well, very much like we saw at race 2 of round 1 at VIR, when we got things underway for the digital GT500. Sven Haase now up into P3, past Adam Isaacson. Dino Lombardi, fastest driver out of anyone so far, 1:25.851 is the Italian's best lap. Here we go to Giotautas, Ingelmo, Passione, Caserta. It's going to be 3 wide. Who's trying to get through trying to get through the middle? That's not going to work there, but could maybe launch it through into the middle and sweeps to the outside. Giotautas is holding on ahead of Passione and Caserta, but look at the train. This is absolutely phenomenal. Despite no aerodynamics, slick tyres, overcast conditions, significant changes of momentum and direction, and also more to the point, the case of elevation changes, ascents and descents aplenty here at Circuit de l'Édonnant.
Bringing the best out of our drivers. We're seeing some great scraps at the top of the field, in the midfield as well, as we watch on then this battle for what is 11th place, so a spot just outside of the top 10, and we're going too wide further back as well, as I think that's Caserta and Ultricher battling away for P40 there. So wherever you're looking at this stage of the race, there's a great battle to behold then, but I think that was Passione running a little bit too deep there, tried to see if he can find a way past Giotautas, but ran deep himself and has lost a bit of time there.
Yeah, that's one thing that you, when you're in the same car as everybody else, the same boat as everybody else, you've got to do the best that you can. And this is why we thought this was a good idea to shake up the apple cart for 2024 for the 10th anniversary. Of course, we broke some news earlier on this week, so please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. If you are watching on YouTube, give us a follow if you're on Twitch, and follow us on our relevant social media channels on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and also if you're on LinkedIn, we are there too. So give the page a follow and you'll find out all the latest news. Plenty of great announcements still in the offing as someone went off into the gravel. Now, was that Caserta possibly? I think that might have been the case. Ran a little bit wide there as we are nearly at the halfway point of this 10-lap race.
Right, Manfredotti, because he lost a position there. Ultricher then, so Ultrichter to see if he can find a way through, or at least try and defend from Bosga in 14th place. So we'll have to keep an eye and see if David Bosga can find his way through. But three of them scrapping away here for P14. And any of these positions really matter in the grand scheme of things, as Davidson just holding back for now. But it's a 6-car battle, I think that is, for what is P14.
Yeah, big thank you to my good friend Luke Crane, who is also watching, who's the community manager for Southwest Vision and one of our hosts at the Sim Racing Expo, I have been told. And Luke knows his stuff, thank you, buddy. The cars are running on road tyres. That's even more perilous than slicks. So, but it still is providing great racing, and Pablo Espes and Jano Koch still battling over the race lead. We are looking on course for our 5th different successive winner in 5 different races so far, as we are on that point, on that cusp of 5 races down, 5 to go to crown our 2024 Digital GT500 at the Expo on the 20th of October this year.
Yeah, the 2012 F1 season called it. Wants its script back with these different winners in different races. It's fantastic to watch, as Koch here having to defend from Espes, but don't rule out Sven Haase in this mid-pack then, because he's really reeled the top 2 back in, as they've almost been squabbling the entire time. I don't think they've been swapping positions per se, but the fact that they're running too wide at pretty much every single corner they can think of, it's allowed Sven Haase to really reel himself back in. And if they're not careful, Adam Isaacson, Dino Lombardi, they could reel themselves back in as well.
Well, if Sven Haase plays his cards right, then he may become the first 2-time race winner of this series. So, 6 laps completed, 60% race distance, and Espes trying to do a Jano Koch on Koch, who is still leading, going through into the first couple of corners here at Triple Lagorge, and this might open the window of opportunity for Sven Haase, the number 46 from Germany, and down the hill they go once again. It is a guessing game between these 3 as to who is going to come out on top. At the moment, Tobias Kuchen in the number 14 is running 20th and could secure the race 2 top 20 reverse grid pole position. Oh, Espes runs wide into the kitty litter. That's going to allow Sven Haase to get through, but Espes holds his ground, stays up the inside of the number 46 and keeps a hold of P2. But Haase back up the inside through the next right-hander and retakes that 2nd place back. Great exchange.
Jano Koch is going to be hoping and willing them to battle their way through, because he'll be able to open up the gap at that point. But Espes then having an inside line now on Sven Haase, getting the power down and going downhill. But Sven Haase holds on to that position for now. All the while, Isaacson also now joining the fray in what is a battle for this lead now, heading in towards that final corner curvette, the final braking zone, as Espes struggles for traction out of that final braking zone, and Isaacson is going to draw alongside him then as we enter lap 8 of this race. 3 laps to go, and Isaacson here looking for a move down the inside at Triple Gauche, but we know that Pablo Espes loves to run around the outside, a triple left-hander. You've got to be so careful. One bit of oversteer here from the driver on the inside and it could all end in tears, but Isaacson moves himself up into 3rd place.
Wow. This is the precursor to our 2nd race coming up after this one, but it has been an absolute classic. We still have 25 out of the 26 drivers who took part in qualifying a little bit earlier on, still running around the circuit here at Ledenau. But Espes, and that is going to be Isaacson to his immediate right-hand side. Careful, because Lombardi's not that far behind them either. Oh, Espes dive bombs up the inside of Isaacson, and then Isaacson responds as Espes loses ground. Lombardi could also make hay whilst the overcast skies don't shine right about now. I had to think about that one for a minute. But Lombardi is also a threat, so... but Jano Koch has got a lead of about 8.5 tenths of a second. coming up towards the penultimate lap of the race in front of Sven Haase. Espers and Isaacson still going wheel to wheel. Here comes Lombardi. It could be threading the eye of the needle by the Italian. He is going to try and split them, is he? He's right on the rear wheels of Adam Isaacson going into the first one of Triple Gauche. 2 to go, and the battle for third rages on like World War III.
Brilliant stuff. Pablo Espes still on the inside. Isaacson then right on the outside, and the exit of Triple Gauche there, but he's still there on his right-hand side. Is Isaacson, then gives him the inside line, heading our way in towards Pont then as they get the power down. And it just seems to be whoever reaches that corner first just has a line that seems to compromise them, loses that momentum. We were talking about how important momentum is. It's really important right now that you choose exactly the right lines to help you keep your momentum up. Espes then still on the inside now, becomes the outside as we head away in towards Camion then. It's too wide through there. In towards Cavalier as Espes still on the outside though. Isaacson, I think this time just has about enough to keep himself in third.
Well, you say that, and he's firing warning shots across the front nose cone of Adam Isaacson as he's gone up the inside once again to retake that third place. Isaacson nearly interlock wheels with Espers down the hill once again through the fast left-hander into the right here at into the right, and then once again this is through Corvette. Up over the hill, 1 lap remains. Jarno Koch has seen the white flag first. He's a second ahead of inaugural winner for the series, Sven Haase. It's 3 wide into turn 1. I don't know where all this energy from all these drivers have come from, but they are putting on a show tonight.
It's brilliant stuff to see. Espes and Isaacson is going to be decided the line at this rate. Dino Lombardi thought about a move there, but decided not to make it 3 wide through Triple Gauche. Probably the right decision there, but Espes is doing everything he can to keep Isaacson behind him. Isaacson is doing everything he can to try and usurp third place, but still they battle, still they squabble.
Well, we are halfway through the final lap, and Louis Belica and the Czech Republic's Miroslav Svoboda could very quickly be joining the fray. There is Belica in the background behind Lombardi, and still they are so close. Lombardi's going to try and mug the pair of them, possibly into the next left-hander. He's nearly sideways alongside Isaacson. And Isaacson and Espes come together. Lombardi and Belica get through.
Oh, that was always going to happen. It could have happened at any point, but Isaacson just looked like he lost the back end there, trying to carry too much speed into the corner. But meanwhile, our race winner's on his way.
Jarno Koch makes it 5 from 5 so far in the digital GT500, winning by 9/10 of a second. Well, yeah, like you said, Formula One want their script back. What was it, 7 out of 7?
Yeah, we're on target. We're on target.
We are on target. We're 50% of the way through. And if you were to say to me when we started this a few weeks ago at VIR that we would have 5 different winners, and what's more, Johan Hoyer, who got spun around in that opening lap, is going to be in that top 20 pole position for Reverse Grid Race 2. So let's have a look at the results. Jarno Koch makes it 5 different winners from 5 different races so far, ahead of the man that took the opening win of this series, Sven Haase. Dino Lombardi takes 3rd place ahead of Louis Belica. Miroslav Svoboda, Pablo Espes rounds out 6th ahead of Ade Lopez. Adam Isaacson, despite that clash, finishes 8th on the road. Felix Witter and Simone Passioni round out the top 10. David Bosga, Alexander Davison, Lorenzo Manfredotti, Daniel Ingelmo. They both made really good runs up the order. That's around about sort of the top 15. I cannot believe... I think we both need defibrillators on standby when we get to the expo of the Messe Dortmund, wouldn't you say?
At this rate, yeah. And the great news is we've got 1 more of those to go, and we reverse the top 20.
Well, all the results called at the moment are provisional, pending any race control investigations. So Lorenzo Manfredotti was 13th, Daniel Ingalmo, both making up 11 and 12 positions respectively. Harodas Chutaltas from Over the Limit Racing rounding out the top 15. Ansgar Altrichter, Henrik Augustin, Marcello Caselta round out the top 18 positions. And so hopefully we'll be able to very shortly scan through the rest of the results. René Loic did not make it to the start, but there they are. Marcello Caserta, Octavio Rondeletto, normally an oval man, but really enjoying his circuit racing. He places 19th, ahead of Johan Rouillet, who will start on the front row of the grid alongside Rondeletto. Now, could lightning strike twice in race 2? Never say never, in my honest opinion. Tobias Kuchen, Thomas Cope, Eric Grove, Sergio Ferrero, Leon Harhoff round out the 25 drivers that made it to the end of the race. And René Loic, the number 77 from Germany, unfortunately did not take the start. But we've got a chance to breathe now, folks. Believe you me. I really don't. I can't put into words how fantastic that race was, Kieran. I could run out of superlatives at the moment.
I mean, it was absolutely fantastic, wasn't it? Brilliant to watch, and it's just a shame that Lopez battle ended the way it did, unfortunately. He showed some brilliant pace out there. Brilliant overtaking displays as well. So, yeah, it was really good to see. And, that sums it up then. We're going to be in for a fantastic race. I mean, let's not forget about Dino Lombardi. He was right behind them all the way there. Thought about a move on the final lap to make it 3 wide in towards the triple gauche. I bet he's really relieved and happy now. He decided against it.
Yeah, because they do say there's the old risk versus reward adage where you can risk it for the biscuit, but sometimes it doesn't always work out. I mean, that happens in any kind of motorsport, be it sim racing, be it real life. I mean, I'm getting double bubble because obviously having been doing karting commentary all weekend long here in Eastern Germany, and now to do the GT500, I'm getting the best of both worlds really, because it's sprint racing, it's fast, it's frantic, it's action packed, and that's what you want, and that's why this GT500 concept that was actually in some ways masterminded by Danny Juicer, because I have to give him a shout out on that one, to really put the drivers up against it. And every driver that I've spoken to, that we've interviewed post races, they've said really, really love the format. I don't want to spend weeks and hours and days and months training on tracks. I want to get in and get stuck in and see how it goes. But for the feature race 2, they are gridding up as we speak at Circuit de l'Edenot here in the southern part of France. And it is going to be overcast again, so the same conditions. Now, obviously, I talked about the mid-pack. We have got our standing start grid ready. Johan Rouillet and Octavio Rondeletto on the start of the on the front row of the grid. Jataltis and Espes yet to grid up. Jataltis makes it onto the grid. If Espes does not get there in time, he's now lined up. Okay. So we've got to wait for everyone to brace themselves for the lights. The 5 red lights here at Circuit de l'Edenot for race 2, round 3, digital GT500 2024 is go, go, go. They're underway, and Rondeletto got, I think, got a little bit slow off the mark there. Rouillet managed to get an early lead, and it's just like race 2, round 2 at Oschersleben. There's like 6 cars squabbling over the same part of real estate, early doors.
Absolutely, and we might have had a bit of contact in the background there, but we're certainly running 3 wide.
Oh, no!
There, going through, and that's Altreicher, who's unfortunately had a spin there, collecting another one as he tried to try and right the car. Chaos there, down at Pont.
Oh, dearie, dearie me. I was waiting to see if we were going to see Luke Crane's favourite thing in sim racing, a rollover. And we nearly had it. So, but Rouillet leading the way by 7/10 of a second. There's Rondeletto, ahead of Hendrik Augustin. David Bosger started in the mid-pack of the top 20. Started 10th, now up 6 places to P4. He's ahead of Adam Isaacson, the flying Swede, who's up 8 places from 13th to P5 now. So Dino Lombardi already up to 12th. Looking at where Pablo Espes is, he's currently showing down in 16th at the moment. Jarno Koch has made it up to 14th, so he's quickly making hay at the moment as well, isn't he?
Is indeed. Augustine looking to see if we can find a way past Rondeletto as well. Isaacson there just behind Bosga at the moment in a battle for P4 as we head our way through Triple Gauche, as Bosga runs a little bit wide through the second part. Back onto the power now. The battle for fourth place slightly detached as well from the top 3. Certainly not detached right now is Jarno Koch as he looks down the inside of Koch, then through in towards Pont they go. Get back onto the power. Jarno Koch knows he's got the pace about him, but trying to find some moves here is a whole different story in itself. Oh, there's a spinner there. That's Werther who's around, and I don't think collected into the gravel, but falls all the way down to 18.
Werther not having a good one there. This is getting a bit too close for comfort, including if your name is Jarno Koch at the moment, you've got Sven Haase right on your rear. We've got Alexander Davidson, the 555, one of the Olympus Esports drivers. Not too far in front. Well, it's not, not Alexander Davidson. It was actually Thomas Cope. My apologies there. Zol Davidson's had a little bit of a stumble. He's gone off track and he's dropped to 17th. Meantime, Johan Rouillet leading the way ahead of Octavio Rondeletto by over a second. A further 4.5 tenths of a second back as we are now on to lap number 3 out of 10 is Hendrik Augustin, David Bosga, Adam Isaacson, Haroldas Getaltas, Ade Lopez, Lorenzo Manfredotti, Luis Bellica and Dino Lombardi round out the top 10. Jarno Koch definitely getting his elbows out here on the Ray Formula Ford 1600. And effectively, more to the point, that this is not going to be over until the checkered flag falls.
Jarno Koch here trying to find a way past Thomas Cope. He can't quite do it just yet. They'll have the inside line now as we make our way in towards Cavevias. Trying to get the power down. He's trying to make sure he doesn't lose too much ground to Sven Haase, and he gets through then. So up to 12th place goes Jarno Koch. In the meantime, Pablo Espes also trying to find his way through and trying to hold back the charge of the likes of Eric Grove right behind him. So this is great when you put the front runners all the way down into 20th place. They have to fight their way through. They've got the pace, and we know that. But trying to carve a move and trying to make mistakes happen, it's an entirely different context in itself. There's the sort of paraphrase of a Murrayism there.
Yeah, I've said go, go, go. You've made a paraphrase, so we both channeled our and released our inner Murray Walker tonight. There we go. Happy days. Happy days. But still, Bosga's got through on Augustin now for 3rd place and has just set the fastest lap. 1:25.594. And Isaacson, the Swede, is closing in on them again. Isaacson's got to be very, very careful after what just happened race 1, where he was battling for the top 3 and it all went a bit Pete Tong. But that's a nice, clean move on Augustin for Carlar Esports in the 999. So Isaacson gets through. That puts him up to P4. Now he's got to try and see if he can get past Bosga. And then there's a further gap of about 9 tenths of a second or so. Whereas Rouillet at the minute is leading Rondeletto by over 1.2 seconds.
Well, we know the pace of Isaacson. He's got that pace underneath him to keep on going, as I think that's Rondeletto running a little bit wide there. Might allow the likes of Bosga, Isaacson and Augustine to close in just a little bit. Yeah, closing back just from that little bit of an excursion from Rondeletto then. Follow through Isaacson trying to size up a move against David Bosga here as we head our way down in towards Curvette. Then this could be a move down the inside, but the sort of profiling of the corner makes it really difficult to try and get a move down the inside unless you are side by side at that point.
This circuit has got more blind crest than Brands Hatch, if I'm completely honest with you. You know, we have Paddock Hill Bend, and then you've got Dingledale and places like that. But then here, it's like, okay, there's a blind apex, there's a blind apex, there's a blind apex, that one's down a hill, that one's up a hill. this one's a left, this one's a right, so you're sort of spoilt for choice, but that's the beauty of having the same car driven by everybody, fixed setup around the same track, as we are seeing some really, really good battles here. Jano Koch trying to get through on Jatautus. That is for 11th, and yeah, the number 7 gets through, but we're getting closer and closer to half-time, half-distance here, Kieran. Johan Rouillet is running away with things at the moment. We are looking on course for 6 different race winners so far.
Absolutely. I'd be hoping that Rondeletto and all battle away, as battling away. Sven Haase is trying to find a way past Manfredotti, and he's just about a nose ahead, but that doesn't mean anything in these races. You need to be the full car ahead before you've even got the move done, and even then it's still up for debate. As we see side by side then, Sven Haase tries to...
Oh, no!
And there's Jano Koch into the wall, over and out.
Over and out indeed, because that car is an absolute mess. Oh, well, they I think in the words of Queen, another one bites the dust right there and then. But still, the battles are fast and frantic once again. David Bosger, was that round the outside at the second part of Triple Gorge on Octavio Rondeletto? Yes, it was. Move of the night from the number 6.
Brilliant stuff, and now he knows he's got 4 or so laps to try and close down a 2.2 second gap. We'll keep an eye on his lap times. I mean, on that last lap, he was battling away and was only 2/10 slower on that last lap. Let's see what he can do with a bit of clean air on his side. Can he try and close down that gap on Maria?
That's the thing with clean air. You know, you get the opportunity to push the car a little bit further, whereas when you're in close quarter battling mode, you really are between a rock and a hard place, and effectively, if you're in a 3 or 4 way battle, if you're the person leading that train, you're like thinking, oh right, I've got 3 crazy fellow sim racers behind me, what am I going to do? And you've got to read the situation, you've got to anticipate, and that's easier said than done, as Rondeletto has got Ade Lopez chasing him down like a bad habit at the minute in the battle for P3. We are on to now what is going to be lap number 7, so 4 to go, including this one. Rouillet leads by nearly 2.4 seconds ahead of Bosger. Rondeletto, Lopez, new fastest lap, dives through the first part of Triple Gorge, nearly got through with the dive bomb attempt there on Rondeletto. Lopez, Ade Lopez, the number 34, who's made up 10 spots. But you've got to keep your eyes on the likes of Lewis Bellica, Dino Lombardi, and Sven Haase. Each of them, well, they're now running 6th, 7th, and 8th respectively, and each of them have gained 11 positions. Leon Harhoff in the number 95 started 25th, now runs mid-pack in 12th.
Drive then from Harhoff then, as he looks to try and see if he can make a couple more positions before the end of this race. Bosger has not been able to get away, and he's not able to close in on Rouillet as much as he would have liked. Still Rondeletto on the back of him, and Ade Lopez then seeing if he can find a sweeping move around the outside. But you see here a couple of different lines being taken by these drivers. Lopez then sizes that move up, manufactures it to perfection there. Ade Lopez moves himself up into 3rd place there. There's a couple of different lines you can take there. Ade Lopez absolutely picked the perfect one, and the move just opened up.
Yeah, and he's put in the fastest lap of the race. So he was exactly half a second quicker than the race leader. Now we have 3 to go, and look at the battle for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Whilst they're battling away, Johan Rouillet is on course for his first win of the series. But Bosger, Lopez and Rondeletto, who's going to be the first one to blink? Who's going to be the first one that makes an unforced error? We could very shortly find out. Bosger keeps Lopez at bay. Rondeletto waiting in the wings to see what might transpire. We are nearly halfway through our second from last lap, and Lopez is trying every trick in the playbook, and Bosger is not letting him get through. But Lopez this time tries to look for the high, wide, and round the outside Hail Mary. Can he get the undercut into the next right-hander? It's going to be tough, but it's not going to happen. And there is Rondeletto up the inside, takes 3rd away from Lopez.
Brilliant stuff. Rondeletto still switched on at this point. Knows there's still moves on the cars, but Ade Lopez are once again down the inside at Servier. Exactly the carbon copy move he made last lap around and takes back that third place then from Octavio Rondeletto. All the while, David Bosca is able to hold on to second place right now, and he'll be saying exactly the same as a couple of drivers in the last race. If you two squabble behind me, I've got this position on lockdown.
Yep, so there we go. Lap number 9 underway, 2 to go. That's just a shade over 6.2 kilometres of racing remaining for round 3 of the ADAC Digital GT500 for 2024 Circuit de Lebanon with the Ray Formula Ford 1600s. Davidson now 7th. Sven Haase and Pablo Espes both in pit lane. I wonder what that might be. Possibly an incident that might have either collected the pair of them, they came together, or one was involved in the incident and the other one just simply was an unwilling bystander and got collected in the process. However, this battle for second position has had both myself and Kieran riveted to the edge of our seats, biting our fingernails to the quick. Rouillet is going to run away with this one. He's 3.5 seconds up the road and is 70% through the way of the penultimate lap. Lopez again on the offensive, gives a little bit of a love tap to the rear of the gearbox of Bosca as they go down the hill once again into the next complex, down in towards this really tight and twisty section. Up over the crest they go once again, and now the final lap will be underway. White flag in the air. Rouillet away and clear. Bosca fending off Lopez, who sweeps to the outside. What is Rondeletto going to have to say about this? He dives to the inside of the 34 through the first part of Triple Gauche and still carries the momentum, nearly goes into the back end of the number 34 through turn 3.
Brilliant. We've got a battle for third place on our hands then, and it will not go down without a fight as Bosca here feels the absolute pressure from Ade Lopez. Rondeletto just sneaking a nose in, see if he can grab a position. Ade Lopez then going down the inside then on this final lap, but Bosca runs a little bit wide onto the gravel then. That's going to compromise him. They are still going to run side by side, but Ade Lopez should have that momentum, but he doesn't. Bosca able to hold on then through in towards Camion, and Cavalier they go.
Well, this is just making it even more enticing. I think myself and Kieran have just run out of breath and also run out of superlatives to show our appreciation for what a race evening it's been here for the midway points of the Digital GT500 for 2024. But more to the point, it is going to be 6 from 6. Now you add France's Johan Rouillet, who's going to sweep to victory by over 4.3 seconds after 10 laps here at Circuit de Lebanon. A Frenchman wins on home soil. David Bosca takes second. Ade Lopez finishes third ahead of round 2, race 2 winner Octavio Rondeletto, Hendrik Augustin, Dino Lombardi, Haroldas Chotaltas, Leon Harhoff. One of the best drives this GT500 so far, 25th to 8th. Lewis Bellica, Felix Vetter, Eric Grove, Thomas Cope, Pablo Espes, Sven Haase, Alexander Davidson, Jano Koch, we've got Ansgar Alrichter, Simone Passione, Marcello Caserta, Sergio Gurdier Ferrero, Adam Isaacson out with half distance. But, I mean, my mind feels like scrambled eggs right about now, Kieran. That is 6 different winners, 6 different races, 3 rounds, 2 to go. I think this unpredictability of this GT500 has just hit a new haut niveau, as they would say.
No, absolutely. I mean, you throw these drivers into a track and a car they've only really got a day to prepare for, and these are the results. You get 6 different winners in 6 different rounds, and it just completely turns championships on its head. I mean, we saw Jano Koch. We didn't see what happened to him, but we saw the standings of him tumbling down and saying pit lane, which never is a good sign in the middle of a 10-lap race. Either way, you've got some big protagonists in this championship hunt, all having mixed review days. So, in terms of spicing up the championship, this race did exactly that.
It's more than spiced it up. It's just meant that we cannot pick a winner. This is the whole purpose of why this format was introduced. It was to test drivers, and I think one of the things that I said when we started this competition, Kieran, it's very much like the modern day equivalent of when you saw the likes of John Surtees, Bruce McLaren, Jim Clark, all those drivers in the 50s and 60s that would race anything, anywhere, anytime around the world. And this is what we're able to do with sim racing, but at least there's no significant financial investment required, and at least you know that your invoices will be just the fact of a control out and delete situation on your PC keyboard to return to garage, rather than having to pay anything. But there are your provisional results for race 2. So folks, have a look at them on the screen, but 6 race winners so far. So Sven Haase, Thomas Cope, Luis Bellica, Octavio Rondeletto, now Jarno Koch, and Johan Huye. Those are your 6 race winners. I don't know what else to say. I am at a loss for words, and that is something you don't hear from a commentator very often.
It's not ideal either, because we're sort of here to do the words. But yeah, I am in full agreement with you. We had some great, fantastic side-by-side action. Yes, a couple of incidents, but that's what happens when you are racing to the ragged edge. And in these open wheel cars, there's no such thing as door-to-door. If you collect wheels with somebody, that normally means it's going to be a bad thing that's going to happen. Either we saw nearly a rollover, so Luke Crane, or just on the edge of his seat, just like the car was on the edge of flipping over. Not quite, though.
Well, we did have a rollover for the Community Trophy back in 2022 when we had Mustangs at Norris Ring.
Defeats my point slightly, doesn't it? But there we go.
No, it doesn't. It's just that we haven't had a roll yet in the series, I think. So, yeah, it might. Luke Crane, I know you're watching, buddy. What's the prize for someone if they get a roll during the GT500 this year? Please let us know. Please let us know.
Got to be a shout out, surely.
What?
At least.
True. We are waiting to hopefully hear from some drivers, but it has been it's been the most challenging, I think, so far of the GT500. Overcast conditions for qualifying and both races, mixed elevation, blind apexes. So you don't, like I was saying during race 2, it was a case of you go up an ascent, you get a blind crest to deal with. You go down a descent, you've got another blind crest to deal with. You're going left, you're going right, and you're in a car that has road tyres on it, has a 1.6 engine, naturally aspirated, manual gearbox, and it's like no frills, all fun. And it definitely was fun in terms of what action we saw on track, Kieran.
Yeah, and this was the epitome, the definition of Formula Ford racing. If you haven't watched it before, then that's part of the reason you are missing out. It is such great fun racing, and you normally do get those 3-4 car scraps where the gaps between each cars are so minimal that you can't even see them at that point. You need magnifying glass to see how close drivers come to collecting each other. But it's that sort of edge of your seat stuff and that sort of close quarter racing that really makes it so exciting for those drivers out there, that when they pull off those moves and when they pull off those 3-4 wide battles cleanly, it's just such great fun to watch.
Yeah, it really, really is. And long may it continue. Well, folks, we do still have a couple more rounds to go, because funnily enough, 14 days from now, 22nd of September, the penultimate round of the ADAC Digital GT500 takes place. We also have next week our penultimate round before the Expo, the Asetek Simsports Community Trophy, taking place at Saxonry. And just to bring you an update, reference that, Kieran will be on real-life commentary duties at Snetterton, talking about British trucks. So it will just be myself running solo that weekend, but Kieran will be back with me for the final online event on the road to the Sim Racing Expo. It just really goes to show, Kieran, that we love sim racing. It provides thrills and spills, and we had more than our fair share tonight. I mean, what's been the sort of the biggest takeaway from your perspective? Obviously, not having been part of the broadcast team for the opening 2 rounds, but just the sheer bang for your buck that we've got for this.
I mean, you called it at the very start. It's just been so unpredictable, and the fact of the matter is, you cannot call it at this stage. You really don't know who's going to win the championship, and we're heading into sort of 4 races to go. So it's absolutely incredible, and the fact that we reversed the top 20. Not only do you have to have the pace to be up there in the first place, but normally if you do have the pace for race 1, which after qualifying you would think you do, if you don't run into any trouble, then you've got to power through from position 20. And we saw Jano Koch and Sven Haase run into trouble in that race. Maybe they were squabbling over each other. We didn't quite see the full picture, but what we certainly do know is they tripped up somewhere, and that's 2 real hard and fast drivers. We know they're quick, but they couldn't pull off the moves they needed to today.
I completely 100% agree on that sentiment with you, because the unpredictability factor has just really, as I said, it's gone up to a higher level. It's going to hit that higher level again for not just the penultimate round, but also for the live finale from the Expo, where myself and Kieran, Luke Crane, Matt Sibran, Danny Juicer, and a very, very busy Hall 3. If you haven't already got your tickets for the ADAC SimRacing Expo, our 10th anniversary, we basically have a lot of exhibitors, some of the big hitters in the industry. Asetek Simsports, Logitech G, and so many others. Head to our website, simracingexpo.de. You can also head to traction.gg, our official media partner for 2024, and click on their website, because you'll be able to get yourself a little discount, whether it be a daytime ticket or a weekend ticket. And we would recommend you buy your tickets now before you come to the event, because we only have a limited amount of people that we can let through a day, but we want to make sure the more the merrier. We have got 3 days of fantastic panels, great competitions. So what we are now going to do is, let's just see. We have got a couple of people in the... let's bring our first one in. So, good evening. How is that Johan Hoyer by any chance?
Yes. Hello.
Well, congratulations, félicitations, home soil victory from lights out to checkered flag in race 2 of round 3. Johan, you're the 6th different race winner so far. How are you feeling?
A bit better than after the first race, that's for sure. Yeah, at least I'm happy that I put maximum points for second race. But yeah, the first 2 rounds, like I missed second rounds and first round was not good, so at least I put some points in the bag for today.
And of course, Lidenois is a very well-known French circuit, part of French Formula 4 and the FFSA GT Championship, which is run by Stefan Rattel and his team. What's the best part of the circuit, or what's the best thing that you like about the circuit itself, and what is its appeal when you found out, yeah, this is the circuit we're racing on, these are the cars, and you thought, I've got a chance here?
I mean, we can't really pass here, but the corner I really like though is the last corner, and it's really nice. It's called La Cuvette, but yeah, it's like really downhill and then uphill. It's a really nice corner, and I mean, overall the track is super, but it's maybe too tiny for big cars, but for tiny cars like this, it's perfect.
Brilliant. Well, Johan, well done tonight, being our 6th different winner from 6 different races. I think we might beat Formula 1 at this rate from back in 2011 or 2012 when they had 7 different winners from 7 different races. Anyone you'd like to give a shout out to this evening before we let you go?
Yeah, I want to thank my team and Gridengo and we did a nice job today, bringing P1 and P2, like a race win in both races, so it's good.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, Johan Rouillet, our 6th different winner, thank you so much. Well done tonight, and we'll see you for round 4 in a couple of weeks' time, I'm sure.
Yes, for sure. See you.
Thanks a lot. So there we go, Johan Rouillet. So let's bring in our next driver who is waiting. Our 5th different winner, and the man who was actually leading coming into the midway point, Jano Koch, joins us. Jano, good evening.
Good evening, hello.
So, fantastic race. You gave Sven Haase something to think about, and you started pulling away in the latter stages of the race, but race 2 didn't go so well. Let's talk about race 1 first of all. A really, really good fight at the sharp end of the field, and to take a victory on what is a very challenging circuit, very tight technical circuit, requires a lot of momentum. How did you feel when you crossed the line and got the checkered flag first?
Yeah, was actually a very fun race. The overtake with Pablo was a lot of fun, and yeah, then I was just pulling away with Sven, and they were fighting behind, so it was not too difficult, to be honest, and was just a fun experience, this car in general. Sadly, the second race was not too good, but yeah, still okay.
Just tell us from your perspective what actually happened in race 2, because we saw you, and I think we saw Sven in pit lane, if I remember correctly. Just talk us through it.
Well, Sven and me, we were going through the field pretty well, and already in top 10. And yeah, then Sven was fighting with Manfredetti. Manfredetti hit him and spun. And yeah, I was collected. I could do nothing. Also, was not the fault of Sven or Manfredetti. Was just unfortunate. Yeah, I had big damage. Had to go to the pit and do the fast repair. And I think Sven and Dino, they had something else. I don't know who it was, but there was a crash, and they had 15 incident points and had to go to the pits for the drive-through.
Well, that's a real shame. I mean, obviously, your win still keeps you in very, very good contention for the top prize of €1,000 out of a total prize pool of 5,000, which we'll be deciding at the live from the Sim Racing Expo in Dortmund. We'll be broadcasting there directly. But who would you like to say thank you to before we let you go?
And to the team, we did great effort again, and I think we really did a good job today. So greetings to the team.
Brilliant, Jano Koch. Congratulations. We'll see you again in a couple of weeks for the penultimate round of the GT500. Well done tonight.
Thank you. See you.
Well, really good to hear from Johan Rouillet and Jano Koch, our 2 race winners. Kieran, we've run out of words. We're nearly out of time. We're out of words. Bring on round 4.
Absolutely. My sentiments exactly. No additions. I mean, more of the same plays. Great battling, great side-by-side. Just a little bit of drama added in there as well. And it just provides some great racing action. It's absolutely gone by in a flash.
Well, we want to say firstly a big thank you to you all for watching on the Sim Racing Expo YouTube and Twitch streams. We have to say a very, very big thank you to our partners for the Sim Racing Expo for 2024. Asetek Simsports, Gridfinder, Logitech G, SimStaff, our official media partner Traction.gg, and Ready Steady Sim, who've just recently come on board on the last couple of weeks. Well, what can we say? It's like a Hollywood musical. You get the script ripped up and thrown back in your face, but you come back for more. What we could say is join us in 2 weeks' time for the penultimate round of the GT500. However, if you still want some sim racing action to whet your appetite, join us in a week's time for the penultimate round of the Asetek Simsports Community Trophy from the Saxon Ring. On behalf of Kieran McGinley, our man behind the cameras, Ryan Gill, my name's Alex Goldschmidt. See you next time, and see you in a week for more Sim Racing Expo action. Good night.